Hello, everyone. It's the West Ham Headlines Show. First of all, I wanted to thank everyone for the support you've given for this new daily show. The viewership is picking up, but more importantly than that, the interaction, the comments with each and one of you is absolutely brilliant, going through the roof. And as I always promise, I love interaction with you guys. And I will comment on every single comment, and it's very interesting on the views we've had in the last sort of first two shows we've done. So today's topic: can Antonio and Scamacca play in what used to be my beloved traditional 4-4-2? Always kind of bit miffed why 4-4-2 suddenly fell out of favor, became unfashionable. It's the formation we all know, we all grew up with. It's the one that served Fergie really well, with over a decade of success at Man United, Liverpool in the 80s before that. So never figured that out. I remember Glenn Hoddle obviously introducing the wing back system that went viral everywhere. Harry used it with Travis Sinclair. And then suddenly under Klopp and Poch, we turned wingers into slash strikers and 4-2-3-1, which is kind of more preferred than not these days. Some people like 4-3-3, but 4-4-2 certainly isn't played anymore. I think Villa did it with Danny Ings and Watkins last season. Mixed success, but that's about it. And the larger reason for that is that I always like the 4-4-2 John Lyall example. Fullbacks like Ray Stewart, Lampard, Dix bombing up and down, kind of wing backs, because before we knew wing backs, Lyle was very much ahead of his time in the way that we played that one touch pressing football in the mid 80s. Put any video on from 85, 86, 87, 84, we are playing like Liverpool Spurs today. We are playing pressing football. Perhaps Tottenham not at the moment under Conte. I don't know what they're trying to do, but they're getting results. But certainly under Poch and kind of Klopp, it was a pressing football from Ray Stewart and other fullbacks, centre halves, footballing centre halves like Gail Martin, comfortable with the ball at their feet, playing it out from the back on the floor. One CDM and then one kind of all in one, a bit like Bishop, Moncur, Martin Allen, who could equally happy scoring goals, spraying passes, short, long, and sticking your foot in. Love to get that player in. Hard to find those kind of players. And then obviously little man, big man up front. Again, how many little men are out there now? I mean, Hernandez, Chicharito, you've got perhaps Danny Ings in that mold, perhaps a Mope. There's not many of them around, but I used to love that. One aerially very good, the other very good on the floor, good interaction, but more importantly than that, always up front where I want them to be. What we see in the modern game, especially with Antony at times, not there, not up front in the box. So you're breaking. All right, it's all good sticking everyone behind the ball like Moyes likes, and it looks good. Hard to break down. But what have you got up front? Not many options when you're on the break, really. So again, traditional wingers are dying out. But that's the kind of thing I like. And obviously, this question: can Antonio and Scamacca play in a 4-4-2? Before I answer that, I just want to share my screen with you guys, and we're going to talk about the formation itself, really, and my kind of favorite little app, really, as you can see there. Let me just try to make myself a bit bigger if I can. So there we go. Hoping you can still see the screen. But yeah, 4-4-2. So what we're saying is that Antonio up front with Scamacca there, right? The problem here is they're both similar builds, both quite physical, but they are fairly different, which is good for this system. Scamacca is much more mobile, much more intelligent in terms of a striker's brain. He likes to kind of foresee passes coming before they do so. He'll gamble and run into that space, and he does like to help out the team, which the manager likes. But he likes to sort of be up front. But what I'm worried about at the moment under David Moyes' instructions is, especially against Liverpool, Scamacca was more interested or was forced to be thinking about helping out because we were so poor at the back. So again, sometimes he was missing up front. And again, that's kind of the manager's instructions. Again, don't forget what I was telling you. These players come to West Ham as good players, but under Moyes, they become something different, right? And it's not rocket science to think who's making them do that, right? So it's no wonder we suddenly get players in like Haller or Scamacca and now Paqueta and people like that, and then they suddenly, or Vlasic before that, they suddenly look a shadow of themselves, or they not don't look like what they, or they're not bringing to the table what they bought, what we bought them for, what they're doing good at their other clubs, right? And that is the worry. The more we play with a crappy back four that we've got, especially around the fullbacks that are highlighted, then two CDMs ain't enough. He wants to play three, then he wants the defenders defending. I mean, that's all good, but then you got to think about the other side. And I kept telling you, we're not scoring enough goals, right? We are creating, I get that, but it's kind of fairly, because you've got a weak back four, then yeah, you're leaving gaps at the back. But in this thing, the good thing that it might work is that Antonio, like I said, will not stay up there next to him. It's not in his nature to do that. He goes wandering off down here on the sides. So it might work that way. And it might work also because I've put Paqueta here on the wing in a 4-4-2. And because he has played certainly on that width side with his previous club, Lyon, in a 4-3-3 on that side, and you've seen it, he has got that little bit of, he doesn't mind tracking back and sticking his foot in, but just to help him out there, then Antonio will naturally go to the wing, and that's where they could interchange and help each other, because I think Antonio is fine as a winger. So it'll be good in terms of flexibility, where it'll look like 4-4-2, but as the game goes on, and Paqueta hopefully having a license as a number 10, a true number 10, to float all over the pitch, because the instructions should be to give him the ball whenever you've got a chance, which I am not seeing again. He's constantly looking for the ball. It's just not coming, right? So hopefully he'll drift there, he'll drift up front, and then Antonio can bridge the gap. So the instructions would be that you start off with Antonio up front as far as possible next to Scamacca, because he'll certainly not get in his way, which is kind of the worry if two players are similar. I think Antonio, as you know, he just doesn't like being in the box a lot. He likes to explosively come into the box late. So what you want to see here is Scamacca, stay up there, mate. My instruction as a manager would be, help out a little bit if you want, but I want you up there all the time. So when we attack, when we counter-attack, you're there. You're my man to hold it up, be visible, be there, right? When the cross comes in, I want you at the end of it, not being in the box. That often happens, right? So Antonio will naturally drift to the wing. By all means, the instructions should be, yes, Scamacca, you stay up there. Antonio, you try to stay as close as you can. And certainly when a cross comes in, I want you to both, when they're causing havoc, or actually be close to him. And then if Paqueta suddenly finds the ball here, he's got the license to drift more central. Antonio can obviously go to that wing to plug that gap, really. So I think those two will have the license to interchange. I think that could work that way, really. So if we come across a team who are fairly weak, we've got the ball a lot, and we're certainly trying to create chances, and Antonio can stay up there much further up, right? And if we're defending, then we can mix it up. And like I said, if Paqueta suddenly picks up the ball from any area on the pitch like he's allowed to do, then if Antonio sees, God, we need someone on that wing, then he can do it, really. And I've put Cornet on the other side. What we definitely saw with Cornet before the injury was a great chemistry with Scamacca. I know that the chemistry between Scamacca, Paqueta is getting famous, but don't forget Cornet and Scamacca, especially in those Europa games, were interlinking brilliantly, because Cornet in Burnley, he was very happy at 4-4-2. He does have a record of playing as a fullback, don't forget, before the club Burnley, he played in France, but largely in the Premiership with Burnley, he was comfortable in the 4-4-2 on the wing, and up front he's fine as long as there's someone with him. The one thing he can't do is play up front by himself. He's a bit too small for that. So certainly as a winger, he's got the legs, he's got the creativity, and he's got the stamina and the pace, right? So this 4-4-2 team you're looking at is very, very young. I don't think there's anyone hardly in there who's in their 30s. I think I even shown Areola to be in there. So Cornet, let's try him there. And he was drifting nicely in the wing and cutting back, crossing for Scamacca. Paqueta and Antonio will interchange on that side, and then let's get Downs in there, right? I was going to do a show, whole show on kind of Downs coming in for Souček, but that wouldn't take too long. I mean, I do want Downs to start ahead of Souček, because Souček's out of form, and it hurts me to put Bowen out this team for now, because Bowen's just not doing anything at the moment. He's bang out of form, and the best thing you can do for players like that is just take them out the firing line, shall I say, right? So they're not in my formation here. At the back, I'm just thinking forward ahead with two changes here. Areola, you all know about, so I would like to bring Areola in now. I don't want to wait and wait and wait because Fabianski looks like we'll definitely not be playing next season. So bed him in now, right? Put Areola in there now. And the other thing I want to experiment with, because we don't really have any other fullbacks, is take Cressy out of there. Again, with the thinking that his contract is not going to be renewed at the end of the season. So let's stick Kara in there. I believe Kara can play left back, right back, from what I've read and found out. Let's give him a chance and then bring Kufal back in. So what you got in that back four, you got a lot of pace in there now and youth, right? Which is a good starting point. What you haven't got is obviously the brains when Kufal, Kara bomb up front, the gaps they leave behind, and they're not good at marking. That hopefully will be fixed on the training ground. So this team is bearing in mind the squad we got at the moment, and bearing in mind we all want to try something different with the way things are going. So you got Areola in goal, you got Kara left back, Kufal right back, Agard next to Zuma, left-footed centre back, right-footed centre back, comfortable with the. I think the fair thing to say about all this back four, they're very good with the ball at their feet, which is excellent starting point. Rice and Downs, a lot of youth in there. They can bomb up and down and cover for you at the wing if you need. They've got very good engines on them. And then you've got Cornet, Paqueta. So it could work as long as Antonio doesn't stay up there close to Scamacca in the box, because that will mean getting in each other's way, which I'm always worried about. If you play two kind of similar build players together, I don't think there's a danger of that, because Antonio, like I said, he's got the winger's mind. He naturally drifts out to the flanks, and that could help. And then he could do that. And if Paqueta sees that, then Paqueta, having the license to go all over the pitch, can drift inwards. So for me, it will work as long as Scamacca doesn't. I mean, as long as Antonio doesn't suddenly go against all the fashion and what he's done in the past, which is me never be up front. You know, even when he's playing up front he just never used to be there, always on the wing, having an ice cream or doing something like that. So for me, I think it's time to try it. The worry is that you should have tried it at Southampton, so you certainly don't want to mess about with your lineup when you're playing the top 5, top 6. So this would be, perhaps we got Blackburn coming up, 1 or 2 Europa games coming up. We only need a point. Let's try this in one of those games. But will David listen? I don't know. So for me, it'll be exciting to try it. Kerr at left back, Kufal right back. Agard is close. If not, stick Dawson up there. But what I don't want to see is Kera as one of the centre backs. It doesn't work, right? That's the thing. We don't want to put players in the wrong positions, and we don't want Tony up front on it by himself. We don't want Bowen up front by himself. We want to see Scamacca up there, like in this lineup, Antonio next to him. So that'll kind of stop some of you perhaps thinking Scamacca's isolated, although I think he's big enough man to handle it by himself, but no harm in. And then it gives the opposition manager something to worry about. Should we pick up Scamacca? Should we pick up Antonio? And a lot of you remember the 1980 John Lyle tactic against Arsenal, where he played a 4-5-1. So the two centre-backs didn't know who to pick up because there was only one up front. This headache will be caused by Antonio and Paqueta. You won't know what positions they're in, because for me, it'll be interchanging a lot. Antonio running off to the wing, then joining Scamacca closely, Paqueta drifting all over the pitch, right, with Rice and Downs, hopefully as central as they want to be, and then Cornet again. So if all goes to plan and you're kind of got more possession than shall we say the opposition's a bit weaker, you could have a case of Paqueta, Cornet, Scamacca, Antonio, all up there, mate, all up there. So that'll help. And I can't stress enough how we all want that kind of West Ham that we've lost, isn't it? The West Ham tradition of playing one-touch football, attacking football. We want that to come back. And I think listen, there's no harm in trying something new. I'm not going to say it's going to work, but we can't keep going down the same way. We can't keep playing Souček out of form. We can't keep playing Bowen out of form. We can't keep playing Kera in the back, flat ball at centre half. Johnson's looking all over the place. He needs to, again, come out a bit at the firing line. I'm not sure if he's fit. And we got to bring Areola in at some point, really, and better now than not before. And then you've got three people at the back five who speak French. I don't know if that helps or not. You've got Agard, Zuma, Areola, even kind of Cornet. I think he can speak a bit playing in France, and Paqueta played in the French league. So you're getting that kind of mix, really. But I think my answer is it could work, but as long as Antonio doesn't stay too close to Scamacca up front, which I don't think will happen. So I think it could work in this instance. if you are going to go down this line and you are going to mix it up a bit, because don't forget, even if this system works, the idea is you have more than one system during matches and during games. So the one thing David Moyes needs to improve on is having different systems, trying them in games, mix it up, change it, make the substitutions early. So when we go to the next window, let's look for a smaller striker like Mope. Mope would have been brilliant because he works hard. Moyes would like that, but he can play up front by himself, and he's slightly bit different to Scamacca, I feel. Although he is a target man as well, I think he just largely stays outside the box, Mope. That's why perhaps his goal tally isn't as high as you think. He scores penalties, so you can go into the market for a slightly similar player to that, I think. He didn't cost a lot, so I think we missed a trick. He cost the same money nearly as Kehrer and Emerson. Think about that. So we should have bought Mope in, but no one listens to Jazz anyway. And then we need to invest in the fullbacks / wing-backs positions. We all know that. So that is a key areas to improve. But for me, yeah, it's quite interesting discussing this. So again, it will work as long as Antonio listens. And then it's a lovely little interchanging between Antonio and Paqueta, long as those are the instructions from the manager, really. So put your comments in the comment box and I will reply within a day, as I said. And it's quite interesting speaking about this. So all of you have a great day, what's left of it, and we'll catch up hopefully tomorrow, the day after. So take care and thanks for watching. Come on, you irons, and let's